through various administrations of government, and then being your humble servant. So I ask you for your support to continue this journey of development. It has been a beautiful journey thus far, and I look forward to continuing with you.
Thank you, Ms. Webster-Roy. Mr. Balfour.
Yes, good night, everyone. Before I start, I would like to take 10 seconds from my 60 seconds in silence for Leandro Nori.
Through various administrations of government.
All right, so seeing that I had 60 seconds. My name is Gerard.
So I ask you for your support to continue this journey of development. It has been a beautiful journey thus far, and I look forward
producer,
to
engineer, also a composer. Over the years, I have been able to champion the orange economy, in other words, with culture. And coming up in this space, I realized that we all chant the same song in terms of representation, in terms of getting Tobago to another place, or having Tobago compete to what we've seen from our neighboring islands. So I am here as an advocate to ensure that the voices are heard, the voices that is not heard are heard, to bring strong representation to the people. Over the years, I have been able to champion the orange economy, in other words, with culture. And coming up in this space, I realized that we all chant the same song in terms of representation, in terms of getting to another place, having to be able to compete to what we've seen from our neighboring islands. I am here as an advocate to ensure that the voices are heard, the voices that is not heard.
And I wanted to share a little background for our viewers. Of course, we are live on Tobago Channel 5. We're also live on Facebook and on YouTube. I know sometimes we get a little confused with the different roles between a member of parliament and an assemblyman in the Tobago House of Assembly, all right? So I wanted to share this briefly before we begin this conversation. The primary difference between this, of course, an elected member of parliament from Tobago East or West in Trinidad and Tobago central government and an assemblyman in Tobago House of Assembly, the difference is that there lies a level of governance and responsibility and scope of authority, right? A member of parliament, which we know as an MP for Tobago East or Tobago West, they would be part of central government. Their roles would be to represent Tobago in national affairs. Once elected in general elections every 5 years to the House of Representatives, which would be the lower house in Parliament, right? The key responsibilities there basically to participate in national lawmaking, debating, voting on bills, budgets, policies affecting the island of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as to advocate for Tobago's interests at the national level. Example, funding, infrastructure, national policies, etc. If appointed as a cabinet minister, right, this person would oversee a national ministry, right? Example, energy, education, health, office of the prime minister, right? So I just wanted to share that to our viewers. We will start off with the Tobago economy, right? Tobago's economy is often described as tourism dependent. Yet around 50% of Tobago's GDP comes from THA spending. Only 14% comes from tourism. More comes from the financial sector than that. The economy is perpetually hampered by around 60% of workers working for the Tobago House of Assembly, right? Which is low productivity of these workers, little foreign investment, and low-level entrepreneurial activity. I would have liked Mr. Thomas to chime in on this, but he's not here with us as yet, so I would definitely pose this question to Mr. Duke and Miss Webster-Roy, sorry. And of course, let me just remind you that you have 60 seconds to respond to this question as we have this conversation. All right, so the first question is, tourism contributes just 14% to Tobago's GDP. As our Member of Parliament, what specific tourism policy would you champion in Parliament that could create jobs for Tobagonians?
So as the Member of Parliament for Tobago East, recognizing that tourism can be a meaningful contributor to our economy, it's important for us to make use of all the resources we have available. So recently we got the Man in the Biosphere designation, so we could look at the blue economy and what that would bring. So ecotourism, ensuring that we push that as a way of developing or not only maintaining our natural resources, but developing economic opportunities, getting our young people trained, giving them the skills, the tools required to help them benefit from the blue economy and from tourism as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duke. Of course, Mr. Wade and Mr. Balfour, if it is you feel you can champion this as well and be a good representation of this question, I would invite you to answer that question. Mr. Duke, your 60 seconds start now. Would you like me to repeat the question, or are you ready?
I will make way for Mr. David Thomas. He has now shown.
No problem. Mr. Thomas is joining us. So I think what we could do, we'll invite Mr. Thomas to come up on stage after Mr. Duke answers his question, right? So tourism contributes just 14% to Tobago's GDP. As our Member of Parliament, what specific tourism policy would you champion in Parliament that could create jobs for Tobagonians?
Well, let me say to you that it is not the Parliament's rule to decide for Tobago the type of tourism it will have. That's a misconception. It is the rule of Tobagonians, based on their right to self-determination, to self-determine the type of economy they want to freely pursue. And as such, the question rests with Tobago. What Trinidad must contribute to Tobago is the money that is necessary to create the type of tourism that Tobago wishes to pursue.
Well, Mr. Duke, we still have not been able to answer the question.
Someone is sabotaging the program. I'm wondering why.
Absolutely not. Ms. Webster-Roy, you wanted to say something about this, but I really wanted to get an answer. You basically made a statement, right?
Yeah.
But if it is you are elected, what is your representation to champion this topic? That
Tourism?
Yes.
I would say on the role of tourism, that must be totally devolved and given to Tobago. Tobago must sit and plan its own tourism development, economic development based on tourism. Right? It's not fitting for Trinidad to say to us they want a Sanders hotel and we dance to their jig, or they want a Marriott hotel and we say yes to them. The people of Tobago, they have a right in their lives, and this is what the PDP is about. Tobago must win. It's not where they sit in a parliament that is stacked against us, 39 seats against 2 seats, and they're saying they're creating a policy. Under my watch, the 39 seats will not be allowed to bully the 2 seats. The 2 seats speak for Tobago, and unless these 2 seats agree with the 39 seats, the law they have made is for Trinidad and not Tobago.
Thank you, Mr. Duke.
May I interject, please?
Yes.
As an elected representative, we represent the voice of the people. And during a campaigning period, we get the opportunity to hear the concerns. And on the trail now, we are hearing Tobagonians say we need more job opportunities outside of the TH. That's not sustainable. And a number of Tobagonians are saying to me, as an elected representative and as a candidate now, that we must focus on tourism to help to further sustain our economy. And if we're going to leverage what we have now to make it work for us, to create opportunities for employment, to create opportunities for further training and development, then we look at the simple wins. So, for example, we have man on the biosphere, that's a simple win already. Leverage it. Link it to the blue economy, link it to job creation, and when we go to Parliament, it's to speak on behalf of the people who have elected us to be their voice. So to create an excuse and say, well, the 2 seats and what is made in Trinidad, we are still the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and we are the voice of the Tobagonians who sent us to Trinidad to convey to the Parliament, to contribute by way of lawmaking their desires and their wills.
Madam Moderator, if I may ask you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Webster-Roy.
Madam Moderator.
I know Mr. Wade would, Mr. Caruth wanted
Just
to
before
comment.
Mr. Caruth will just ask my dear sister or my colleague Ayanna to clarify what she has said. She has made another chat. But my question is, she has not said what policy she would create in the Parliament. She's talking about man and biosphere as if we are receiving a lecture.
So,
this is not a lecture series.
Before we continue, let me also just remind you, we're having a conversation, right? Again, so let me just make it very clear that we're having a conversation, right? We're having a conversation, a space to share our opinions,
yes,
our thoughts, right? Imagine this is a marriage. I am representing Tobago here tonight. So make me understand, as a Tobagonian, what you're saying to me. And that's all, because Facebook is listening and looking on, YouTube is looking and listening and looking on, Tobago Channel 5, and there are Tobagonians across the world looking and listening on. And all they want to know is that they have a good representation for themselves to probably come back home and something. And that is basically it, you know? So,
but she was unfair.
So,
if I can add to this conversation.
I'm going to break the policy.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, or lady and gentlemen. Good evening, Mr. Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. All right, so we are on the topic of the Tobago economy, right? Mr. Duke and Ms. Webster-Roy were having a conversation on the topic, and Mr. Caruth was just about to add his few cents on it. Of course, it's a space for sharing, guys, and that's all we want to know as Tobagonians. We don't want to have to just hear, oh, this and that and the other. We want to know that, okay, if it is we elect you, you will represent us. Because guess what? You are part of us.
Absolutely.
You understand? You are part of us in a very big way, and we just need you to represent us. We need to have the conversation. So if it is you're going to do A, B, or C for us or on our behalf, we will remember that, and we would have that relationship together based on what you say tonight. All right, is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, so I don't want yes.
Right, so I was saying,
yes,
as you've stated the statistics that Tobago tourism only contributes Tobagonians, collaborate with Tobagonians, and the main goal is to have a tourism product that is not centered on big hotels, cock up your foot, watch TV. People want to come to Tobago to experience Tobago. So with us, my policies would be to enhance our green spaces, our eco spaces, so that people can come to Tobago and experience what it is to be a Tobagonian. And that would be the beginning of my policy when it comes to tourism.
Thank you, Mr. Caruth. Mr. Balfour, you wanted to chime in on this topic?
Yes, though I would like to agree with the honorable member. There are different types of tourism, and apart from just ecotourism, because we have people saying that Tobago is a tourism island, but based on how things is right now, I will say Tobago is a government island. You know, government economy, because we have like 55% of the persons, the revenue coming from Trinidad, and about 70% of the persons employed by the government. And these resources that we use within the divisions are not used for revenue earning. It more seems as though it's for
salaries.
Yeah, and I mean, we need to make money, right? We need to make money to sustain ourselves. So apart, yes, I endorse ecotourism, but there are many other forms of tourism in terms of education and sporting and all these things that we could venture into. Because I mean, we're going forward and we need innovation. We need to keep up with what's happening in the world.
Thank you so much, Mr. Balfour. Mr. Thomas, I would invite you to answer this question. Mr. Duke, I will give you, at least 30 seconds to add. Is that okay? All right, lovely. So, seeing that you were not here, I will just read the question again.
Not a problem.
All right? So, tourism contributes just 14% to Tobago's GDP. As a member of Parliament, what specific tourism policy would you champion in Parliament that could create jobs for Tobagonians?
Well, let me say that I have looked at the Tobago space from a tourism perspective, and I am very disheartened. And that is because I do not think that we properly study out the product. Right? Just this afternoon, I was reading an extract from the then Ayanna Robinson, and he was quoting from Lydia Naipaul. And the Caribbean is seen as the third world of the third world. And he went on to explain that Tobago is the third world of the Caribbean. And that to me is so disheartening, because I am aware that Tobago has much potential. I am aware that with the right investment in tourism in Tobago, we will be able to produce the ideal product. Because there are little niches here and there when you look at what is happening in Castara and so on. And if we build out those things, we would have something that is indigenous to Tobago to present to the world. Because all over the world, there's great admiration for what happens in Castara. But what I think is upset, there is not collective consultation for the Tobagonian to really say what is ideal and what will work in the space. And once it's taken into consideration in a serious manner and it's properly funded, we can build out a product that would serve Tobago, and then the returns on the investment is what we all will be proud of.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. All right, Mr. Duke, what would you like to add to this?
Well, I'm just looking at the question you asked and how it was responded to. I think my colleagues have all failed to answer the question. What policy they will bring to the Parliament, that's the question. They gave lectures, many series lectures, on what they will do for tourism. I'm the only one who have said that when we go to Trinidad as parliamentary representative, we are not going to debate on Tobago's tourism. We are going to ensure that Tobago is given the money, the budgetary allocation it requires to pursue the tourism Tobago desires. Tourism is a Tobago thing. Laws should be made in Tobago to govern its tourism. That's all part of what we call Tobago's self-determination. So if I'm to make a policy, it will be an overarching policy called Tobago's self-determination. So Tobago can decide that.
Thank you, Mr. Duke.
Thank you.
Right, and of course, each candidate here and each representative, they have their own views, of course.
Right.
So please allow them to share as they feel.
It's a conversation.
Right? It's a conversation in a time space. So, Mr. Thomas, let me just give you a little idea. We have 60 seconds to answer the questions posed. We are focusing on the Tobago economy, Tobago education, Tobago autonomy, and Tobago representation in the Parliament. Just to be fair, you won't hear when we were going through this, all right? So, sure. All right, so we will move on to the other question. We're just on question number 2, guys. This is a conversation. This is a conversation, and we're having a really good time so far in this space for sharing. All right, so we will go on. Tobago attracts very little local or very limited local foreign investments. Name one specific incentive you would introduce in Parliament to attract both foreign and local investors to Tobago while protecting our environment. I would start with you, Mr. Caruth.
Could you just repeat it for me? What incentive will we put to attract local and foreign investors in the Tobago space?
Yes, I will read the question again just for everyone, right? Tobago attracts very limited local and foreign investments. Name one specific incentive you would introduce to Parliament to attract both foreign and local investors to Tobago while protecting our environment.
Okay. Well, we need to create a space in Tobago that is attractive to local and foreign investors. As far as incentive, it would be something centered around land leasing, especially for the foreign investor. Because we do not want to give away our local lands. And one of the things we are championing is that locals can have titles and ownership of their lands in Tobago. So we will give incentives for local landowners so that they can attract or do business with the foreign investor.
Thank you, Mr. Caruth. Ms. Webster-Roy.
While a lot of the policies exist, what we need to look at is strengthening what is already there. And one key policy I would propose is for us to ensure that we have taxation policies in place that makes Tobago attractive for the investor, and that not putting too many taxes on them, but with conditionalities. That if you're going to invest in Tobago, that you must ensure that there's a certain percentage of local content, that you must ensure that whatever business you're bringing, that it takes into consideration our environment and our cultural heritage, and also whatever investment you're bringing to the island of Tobago, that when you are exiting, or if you choose to exit, that you have prepared all local people to further benefit. And for those persons who are Tobagoans who may be looking to invest in the islands, to ensure that as part of their investment, they give back to communities. That's a policy position.
Thank you so much. I would go down the line with this question. Mr. Thomas, your 60 seconds start now. We're going nice. Let's keep it steady.
Yes, well, in terms of that kind of investment, I think number one consideration should be that the Tobagonian should continue to feel safe and comfortable in his space. We welcome foreign investment. I know that there are some laws that will interfere with foreign investment at this time, and I think those laws should be reviewed from the perspective of giving the foreigner an incentive to come to Tobago, even if we have to get to that point where we decide that the foreign investor must partner with a local person to allow the investment to take place to the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago. I think that it should be carefully thought out, and whatever we decide that we should do, it must be a product that would best serve the interests of Tobago and provide for its future development.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Thomas.
Yes,
Mr. Balfour.
so I like what Mr. Caruth and the Honorable Member, and also Brother, what's his name? Thomas said we need to revisit the Foreign Investment Act. Yeah. One incentive that I think is suitable is citizenship packages. You know, where someone could come and probably stay for 6 months, start to set up the business, see how it's going, and according to how things is going within the 6 months, then we can offer more suitable, more longer stay packages. Where they could bring the family and actually be a part of our community, you know. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Balfour. Mr. Duke, 60 seconds. Thank you so much.
The role of myself as a parliamentary representative is to create a framework by which Tobago can create its own cocktail of benefits that becomes attractive to both foreign and local investors. And so what I will seek to do is to give Tobago its right towards self-determination. Again, Tobago must sit down in Tobago and determine what cocktail of benefits it wishes to give the foreigners. And they should do that freely, without the hindrance of Trinidad saying to them, you can't give this, you can't give that. And also for the local persons also, they must sit in Tobago and decide what type of benefits they want to give. It's a Tobago House of Assembly business and the foreigner business and the local business. It is not something
Thank you so much.
for the parliament to sit down and
Thank
decide.
you so much, Mr.
But I have one rebuttal.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duke.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right, we're trying to fit in as many questions as possible because we want to hear from you. We want to hear everything that you have to share, right? So I appreciate that. I want us to move on to the other question, or one more question. Where should I go? So let's talk about the Sandals project. right? So the Sandals project promised jobs but raised concerns about environmental impact. Do you support reviving similar large-scale tourism projects? Why or why not? What role should Parliament play in such decisions? I know Mr. Duke was trying to speak about this before, so let's start with you. 60 seconds. Thank you.
Could you please repeat the question? It's a very long and deep question.
No problem, Mr. Duke. The Sandals project promised jobs but raised concerns about environmental impact. Do you support reviving similar large-scale tourism projects? Why or why not? What role should Parliament play in such decisions?
Well, I'm not sure if we could look at it as a large project because we're not sure how much rooms Sandals is going to build. But certainly the rooms we have on the island, it's about 2,000 rooms thereabout. And whenever there's a great activity, all those rooms are gone. So we need to have large hotels that could accommodate perhaps 10,000 persons on the island, right? Large hotels or more miniature villas or these homestead projects that people will have. You know, we need to have more of that. Let me just want to say that Sandals in particular is welcome in Tobago. And we don't see an environmental factor with Sandals because Sandals has not yet chosen a place where it wants to go. What we are concerned about, the PDP that is, we are concerned that when Sandals come, they must benefit. They must see a win in it too, right? Secondly, the THA must win. The THA must be the legislative arm through which Sandals come and not Trinidad.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duke.
I'm not finished as yet.
60 seconds. That's what we're working with, right?
It's an unfair question. It's a deep question.
It is.
There's no short answer to it.
I understand. Right? I will just go to Ms. Webster-Roy and then we will take a break. And when we come back, we'll have some more questions. Yes? So Ms. Webster-Roy, just give me 60 seconds on this topic. Thank you so much.
I think we're quite fortunate in Trinidad and Tobago that we have an authority, the EMA, that safeguards our environment. So before anything can be done, we must go through that process. I remember recently the Honorable Chief Secretary saying to me that he was trying to clear something off the beach, some sand to clear up some slush. And he said EMA stepped in. So if EMA would step in at something that is so minuscule, what we consider minuscule as getting some sand off the beach to clear up slush, I'm sure the EMA would ensure that our environment would be protected when it comes to any large-scale construction or even small-scale construction. So we have the agency there. What we need is for us to have the will to think beyond what we currently have and think that we can and would attract big investment to Tobago through big brands and big names so that our young people can benefit from our employment opportunities.
Thank you so much. All right, so we will take a short break, and when we come back, of course, we'll have some more Tobago candidates of the East. Conversations, guys, conversations right here on Tobago Channel 5. We're live from Bishop's High School. We will be back.
Need furniture and appliances for your home at affordable prices? It's time to visit JG's Furniture and Appliances Limited at their showroom at Smithfield No. 2 in Scarborough. There's more room to shop, more furniture and appliances, more brands to choose from, all at the same affordable price. Get everything you need to furnish your home, like stoves, fridges, washing machines, couches, dining sets. They even have swing chairs, school desks, chase lounges, sports sets, garden benches, day beds, and coffee tables. JG's is perfect for gift ideas for new and established homeowners. A wide variety of furniture and appliances. After 35 years, JG's is still Tobago's top choice for furniture and appliances. Visit their showrooms either at Orange Hill Road or Smithfield No. 2. JG's, make your dream home come true.
At the Bishop's High School for conversations with the candidates. We're heading into the second segment and second topic, actually, which is Tobago education, all right? I understand that you guys are really eager to answer all of these questions, and this is why we have to keep it at 60 seconds so we can really share, right? We need to understand that, all right? So education is critical to Tobago's development, right? Development requires that we all learn to do new things. Tourism workers need to learn to give top-notch customer service. Doctors need to learn how to advocate for improved medical facilities. Parents need to learn how to help their children avoid crime, right? Managers need to learn how to lead and inspire, and young people need to learn how to thrive while staying in Tobago, right? Although the THA is responsible for education, according to the 5th schedule of the THA Act, the Ministry of Education has authority over education nationally, and Parliament and Cabinet write all the laws and policies on education. So our first question is, Tobago's exam pass rates are lower than Trinidad's. In Trinidad's specifically, what specific educational improvements would you fight for in Parliament that would make the most difference to Tobago's students? Mr. Thomas, I will start with you. You weren't here for a lot of the questions earlier. So if you would like me to read this question again.
Fine, yeah.
All right. Tobago's exam pass rates are lower than Trinidad's. What specific educational improvements would you fight for in Parliament that would make the most difference to Tobago's students? 60 seconds. Thank you so much.
I would channel my response along the lines of ensuring that Tobago autonomy flourishes in the real sense. Because lots of times when you look at the policies that exist, it is not always tailored, suited to the Tobagonian. And therefore, we are always in a position where we are left to take what is left, right? Except when the top positions come about, you find everybody from Trinidad will come here, right? So I would think that we would need to review that whole policy and make sure that whatever system we set up and whatever policy, it is reinforced by law to ensure that equality spreads across the board so that Tobago can benefit from higher levels of education in this space.
Thank you so much. Mr. Caruth, I would ask you the same question.
Okay. When we look at education in Tobago, we must understand that a lot of Tobagonians do not value education because there are not a lot of opportunities that come from being so-called educated in the common sense. So I think we need to look at a different type of syllabus, a different type of learning structure that is catered to Tobagonians so that they can benefit and be a vital contributor to Tobago's economy. And if I add, sandals is a good idea. I'm not knocking sandals, but as Tobagonians, why don't we have our own branded all-inclusive hotel? Let's say Little Tobago All-Inclusive Resort. I think that will add more value to Tobagonians.
Thank you, Mr. Caruth. Mr. Balfour, what do you have to share on this topic?
All right, well, currently, the education system in Tobago is somewhat inadequate. We have a lot of persons, not much persons really follow up on academics. But when you really study the history of Tobago and look at Tobagonian people, we are doing people. We have a lot of skills. So I think, adding more skill-based or subjects around the industrial arts could help in our trajectory going forward within education and compete. For the longest while we've seen people poor. We ranking, as I said, poor. We be either second to last or last. And it's every year due to lack of interest in academics. We are doing people. So, we need to integrate skills into our syllabus.
Thank you so much. I would move on to the other question because based on what Mr. Balfour just shared, it takes us into this other question, and I really want to have this question answered as well. So Tobago workers are usually criticized for producing less output than the national average despite similar levels of education across the country. What do you believe causes this productivity gap? And what specific training program would you propose to address this? Ms. Webster-Roy and Mr. Duke, you can answer these questions. Is that okay? 60 seconds.
I think, unfortunately, it's cultural, where we tend to be extremely laid back and everybody know everybody. So if you're not performing, then you might know the supervisor who will give you a blight. But if we try to really foster within our public sector more accountability and train persons to be really customer focused and service oriented, really highlighting the importance of every single role, every position in contributing to not only economic development but social stability. It's imperative that as we transform the public sector, as we look at using modern technologies, that we look at digitization and all of that, that we prepare the Tobago workforce to grasp all of the opportunities that will emerge, but teach them that it's important to look at their work not just as task, but contributing towards economic development and social stability.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Duke. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I understand the question perfectly.
Thank you so much. 60 seconds.
Yeah, a car will go as fast as its driver. I've found that Tobagonians are highly productive, they're visionary, they're brilliant, they're leaders in the region and the Caribbean. And even when they go to Trinidad, they outshine their peers. The problem is Tobago is that there is not much things to work towards, not much goals to work towards. They have denied us the right to be gainfully employed. And because there's a low marks at the employment level, you'll find them not being as productive as they can. But the same thing applies for Trinidad. I've had the benefit of working both in Tobago and Trinidad. I can say to you, around certain times of the year, there is zero productivity in both areas because the target set at the organization level is rather low. Yeah?
Thank you so much. That was well done. Less than 60 seconds. I appreciate that so much. We have, so Mr. Caruth, you wanted to share?
Yeah.
60 seconds.
I think as was mentioned by the Honorable Member, it is a lot to do with culture. And if Tobagonians have this idea that they're just working for a master or a slave master, would not feel motivated to contribute as much. But if Tobagonians were shareholders and benefited from these organizations, the motivation will definitely rise and the productivity will follow.
Thank you so much. Actually, the rebuttal is 30 seconds, so you did very good there. Mr. Thomas, you wanted to share?
I think the whole idea of Tobagonians not producing is because some subcultures who introduced to the Tobago space, like that early morning book and that URP book, that subculture is what has contributed, because perennially we see it all the time. And if you look at history, Tobagonians were always hard-working people and were once referred to as the breadbasket of Trinidad. So there is that in the Tobagonian DNA. It's just that the subcultures, when you introduce them, people tend to gravitate to them, and it can destroy a small space in the context of what you introduce.
I appreciate that.
Let me just easily say this, that we are discussing productivity, and it is easy to have the object of productivity lost in a flurry of fancy words. If productivity must always be based on a target, and what targets are set by Tobagonians that make us want to grade them as failures and persons who are lazy and unproductive and unlearned? There's no targets. There's no target set by the THA. There's no target set by the organizations, and people are left to work on their own. And they meet the minimum targets.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duke.
Yeah.
We'll move on from this question. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, so coming out of all of this, what we have just communicated, there are numerous training programs that are available in Trinidad, but not in Tobago. If elected, what programs would you advocate for expanding to Tobagonians to equip us, or Tobagonians, with technical and vocational skills needed in emerging industries? Right?
Absolutely.
So this question is for all of you. I'm going to repeat it again. And you realize I said us. I represent Tobagonians tonight. All right? And Mr. Thomas, you didn't hear this part of the conversation, but we're in a relationship right now. So you got to tell me what you want tell me what you're going to give to me as a Tobagonian.
We caught in.
All right? We caught in.
Yeah.
Very briefly, of course. All right, so I'm going to repeat the question one more time. There are numerous training programs that are available in Trinidad, but not in Tobago. If elected, what programs would you advocate for expanding to Tobago to equip Tobagonians with technical and vocational skills needed for emerging industries?
So I noticed a common theme from some of my colleagues where they keep going to the quest for autonomy. Until that happens, I think what I would push for first is a greater and more meaningful collaboration between the Tobago House of Assembly and central government, because by right, under the 5th schedule, training opportunities falls within the ranks and remit of the THA. So using my position as an elected representative, first to build up that collaborative relationship, number one, build the network between the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, as well as the requisite divisions in the Tobago House of Assembly, and areas such around artificial intelligence, areas around digital transformation. Tobago can become a hub for persons who want to send business, but not in a physical sense, but where people want to do business virtually. We could create a digital nomad culture here where people come to Tobago and they're working online and they're enjoying all that Tobago has to offer, while creating opportunities for us to drive and develop new economies.
Thank you so much.
So why you didn't pursue that in your 10 years?
What I think Tobago needs.
Mr. Caruth will answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think we need to look at what Tobagonians need and what the Tobago space needs, as well as what does the world need. So we need to get training programs involved in computer literacy, financial literacy. We need to train our Tobagonians to become entrepreneurs so that they can own their businesses and create the industries that Tobago need and that Tobago can strive from. So I will definitely say computer literacy, financial literacy, and entrepreneurial skills. It's training programs that Tobago needs.
Thank you so much, Mr. Caruth. Mr. Thomas.
Yes, I am listening to the commentary, and I am one who believes that if you do not create the environment, then to say what you would bring or not bring. The thing is, do we really understand the needs of the Tobagonian? Do we understand that if you are bringing a product to Tobago, it must be a product that the Tobagonian need, and therefore you need to create that consultative atmosphere or environment where Tobagonians can identify their needs, and then you bring programs to suit those needs to build out that product.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Balfour.
Nice. Yeah, firstly, we need to know, as you said, we need to know exactly, we have to study our space. One typical example, we don't have much degree programs. And even if we have degree programs, it doesn't really apply to the space as much. We hear a lot of persons talking about, for example, the oil. The oil, we're going to drill oil, but we ain't seen engineering programs that our Tobagonians could be employed out there when they're ready for it. You know, so these little things is what we need to. We need to actually study the space first and see what's happening and just move with the time. Yeah. You know, just move with the time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duke. 60 seconds. Thank you so much.
Well, first of all, we need a good leader, right? I've heard my sister spoke about this and that, but she had 10 years. She did nothing with the 10 years, but she could talk a good talk. Let me say this. Vision is what leads a country. You can't consult and ask people what they want. You come to them, you sold them an idea of creating this euphoric environment where everything is like heaven on earth or the Garden of Eden, right? Self-sustaining. You must now begin to create that environment and you train them to at least benefit from it and to plug into the environment when it is created. I'm not sure if I could give an example here. Look at that.
That is basically it for this segment. Actually, there's one question that came out of this conversation as well, if I might be able to add it. But thank you so much for sharing. I know Mr. Caruth and Ms. Webster-Roy wanted to rebut. Do I have the permission to allow them to rebut?
I wanted to rebut something.
Absolutely. 30 seconds each. Ms. Webster-Roy, I will start with you.
So Mr. Duke said that what we have done for 10 years is by collaboration, a number of the programs that are available in Trinidad are now being offered in Tobago. And one of the key issues that we recognize as a government is that our young boys need additional support. And that's why there's a commitment going forward to bring a MILA program into Tobago to assist our young men in particular who are now getting involved in gang culture.
Thank you so much. And let me just rewind a little bit. I use the word rebut, but I realize it creates a little, energy there. So it's a response, right? Okay. So we're sharing. Mr. Caruth, you have to
say something, of course. It's a
30 seconds after.
No problem, sir, but 1 second.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about training and getting Tobagonians equipped. So I would say, let's look at what makes money in the world. And we have a lot of creative talent in Tobago. We have filmmakers, we have musicians, we have artists. So let us cultivate the talents that we already have and we know that these people make a lot of money worldwide. So let us tap into that revenue stream and boost our resource that we have in the human capacity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Caruth. So we'll have Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Duke wanted to just respond.
Yes,
30 seconds, and then we'll move on to the other questions, and we'll go to a break after that. Yes?
Yes, I think we have to take the con out of the face-facation and just have a talk instead.
Let's go.
I feel
30
I'm being
seconds. So
prompted.
30 seconds is about 20 now.
Yes,
Continue.
so I'm saying that vision will determine a person's occupation and a person's study. If we don't have a vision, we will not be able to pursue course. For example, my part, where does that fit into Tobago? Are we a boot camp? Are we slaves? Why are you bringing that low-level form of education to Tobago? Why not engage with something that is more Tobago-centric, more focused on where we want to go? What is the vision of the PNM for Tobago?
Thank you so much.
There is none.
Thank you so much.
There is no vision for
Thank
Tobago.
you so much, Mr. Duke. Well,
Thank you.
All right. All right, so I'll move on to the other question quickly because it actually came out of this. Tobago produces fewer new businesses per capita than Trinidad. What specific support would you advocate for in Parliament to help more Tobagonians start successful businesses? All right, so let's keep it really steady and nice, guys. Mr. Duke, I'll start with you because your 60 seconds, I find it stretching a little bit. So let's just start with the 60, please.
Yes, so one of the first things we'll be advocating in Trinidad is the right for Tobagonians to determine your own political status and to freely pursue, without any external hindrances, its economic development, right? And so therefore, I feel as if I've lost you a bit there. Yeah. Right, I feel like I've lost you for a bit.
I'm with you, Mr.
Okay, so I'm speaking to you.
I'm with you.
And then you have lost your attention.
My sincerest apologies. I'm here with you.
Now,
Thank
can you
you.
please repeat the question again for me?
Tobago produces fewer new businesses per capita than in Trinidad. What specific support would you advocate for in Parliament to help more business or more Tobagonians start successful businesses?
Again, that's a matter for Tobago House of Assembly. My role as a MP is to go down and advocate that more rights and responsibilities and money be given to the Tobago House of Assembly. Tobago House of Assembly will then sit with its stakeholders and chart that way forward. It is not something for an MP to sit down in Parliament and lock Tobago into an arrangement and then expect them to operate. You have to create an environment for the Tobago House of Assembly to be more meaningful to the people of Tobago, and that's my role.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Thomas.
Yes, that's pretty straightforward for me. Unless you have the financial resources, then you cannot add the necessary incentives to cause people to explore their horizon in terms of new businesses and so on. The $205 million does not give you enough leverage to add incentives or offer incentives to young business people or new business people or business people that are existing at this time to expand and to create a greater space of entrepreneurship. And it's simple as that. Without that kind of resource coming into the space, it's just not possible.
Thank you so much. Mr. Balfour, quickly.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things I will champion is the community rights bill, where the persons can actually identify what is beneficial within their community and have the necessary funding within the community to ensure productivity within the community. That's one of the ways.
Okay. Thank you so much. Just briefly, and we will head to a break. Ms. Webster-Roy and then Mr. Caruth.
So, number one, as an elected representative, you have to foster meaningful collaborative relationships. We already have existing programs in place. More can be established. What we need to do as elected representatives is to create the awareness for Tobagonians. I often boast we get 2 bites of the cherry. We could benefit from grants and support available from the THA. We can benefit from grants and opportunities and training available through central government. It's our duty to create that awareness amongst Tobagonians so we could make full use of all that is available.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. Well, as my colleague on the right of me has said, there are a lot of things that are already on the books and are in place to benefit Tobagonian businesses. But unfortunately, our young people do not have, I don't want to say they do not have, but they lack some of the ability to go through the registration process, to register their business, to get the access to the credit from the financial institutions. So we need to create or foster ease of business, ease of doing business for our Tobagonians, because they have a lot of ideas, but it's to help them translate those ideas into actual businesses.
Thank you so much, Mr. Caruth. We are going to take a break. Conversations with the candidates live on Tobago Channel 5. We'll be back.
Need furniture and appliances for your home at affordable prices? It's time to visit JG's Furniture and Appliances Limited at their showroom at Smithfield number 2 in Scarborough. There's more room to shop, more furniture and appliances, more brands to choose from, all at the same affordable price. Get everything you need to furnish your home, like stoves, fridges, washing machines, couches, dining sets. They even have swing chairs, school desks, chase lounges, sports sets, garden benches, day beds, and coffee tables. JG's is perfect for gift ideas for new and established homeowners. A wide variety of furniture and appliances. After 35 years, JG's is still Tobago's top choice for furniture and appliances. Visit their showrooms either at Orange Hill Road or Smithfield number 2. JG's, make your dream home come true. Need furniture.
Minister of Sport.
Welcome back. We're heading into Tobago autonomy, all right? Tobagonians have been fighting for more autonomy for decades. We just want power to determine the direction of Tobago. Tobago basically.
And member of Parliament for Tobago West, sitting
like the responsibility of the Tobago House of Assembly to manage certain functions right here in Tobago. Increased autonomy has come with ups and downs, of course. Tobago and Trinidad are still negotiating the form of relationship that we would like to have in the long term, right? So the first question, we have to make it very tight now, guys, right? Because we're almost to the end time. Yikes. All right, so this question would go to Ms. Webster-Roy, right? The last autonomy bill failed in Parliament despite years of work. What is the single most important power Tobago should have that it doesn't have right now? And how specifically would you build support for this in Parliament?
I think our ability to create laws to impact the people of Tobago, our situation is quite unique. I have to continue advocating. As part of that consultative process, I took part in the debate. I went to Parliament with a burning hope and desire that we'd have gotten those bills passed. But unfortunately, despite the People's National Movement being willing and ready to take Tobago forward, to give us this autonomy, we were opposed by voices from within Tobago as well as voices in Trinidad.
Mr. Duke, you have 60 seconds. Thank you, Ms. Webster-Roy.
I want to say that Tobago does not want autonomy. That's an idea created by the PNM in the minds to enslave Tobagonians by giving them some more rights. We don't want some more rights. Based on the 1945 Charter of the United Nations, every single nation ought to have the right, who was in colonial subjugation, has the right to self-determination. Tobago needs to determine for itself whether it wants to be independent of Trinidad, whether it wants to be in an autonomous relationship, or whether it wants to be independent with certain rights, allow it to be in association with it. That's the decision for Trinidad, for Tobago, not for Trinidad. I reject the conversation that Tobago wants some of its rights. We want all of our rights. Tobago has never decided, at no point in time has Tobago decided. In 1962, when we went for independence, Tobago was not consulted.
Thank you
it was
so much.
Trinidad who went up, not Tobago.
Thank you so
we
much.
are still without a conversation.
Thank you so much,
Yeah?
Mr. Duke. I appreciate it.
And let me just end by saying this. Section 4 of the Constitutional Amendment Bill promises us self-determination.
Thank you so
they
much,
understand
Mr. Duke.
our right to self-determination.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duke. Mr. Thomas, would you like to chime in on this 60 seconds?
I think that
if this is the best thing to
the main issue here
stated the statistics that Tobago...
Because if my two colleagues on the left are my children, and I give them a space, a piece of land, said that is you, I would not have to advise them to go get a surveyor and establish their boundaries. They will do that. And out of that would come respect. Mr. Caruth would respect Ms. Webster-Roy's space, likewise she would respect his space. And we expect that Mr. Caruth would benefit from the resources of his space, likewise Ms. Webster-Roy. So I think it's respect. If you establish boundaries, then the respect will come, and therefore both islands would benefit from the resources available to them.
Thank you so much. See, now we're talking about boundaries. Defining Tobago's maritime boundaries and allowing the THA to have lawmaking powers were widely supported in Tobago, but failed to get through to Parliament. How would you convince us, of course, from both parties to support these changes? Ms. Webster, I'll start with you.
We started the journey. We gave to Tobago what was the best version that would have given Tobagonians what they wanted while maintaining the unitary state of Trinidad and Tobago. So after doing that, we did that. We got it to the Parliament. We got the Tobago Island Government Bill passed. What we didn't get the support on was the Constitution Amendment Bill, which requires 31 votes. I want Tobagonians to understand that. We got the Tobago Island Government Bill passed. We did not get the amendments to the Constitution, which required 31 votes in the Parliament. We were ready.
Thank you so much.
If I may just respond to that.
30 seconds.
We must also identify the reason for not getting the bill passed. It's because the bill was dissected and restructured in Trinidad for the Trinidadians to say to us what we should have, and that was the obstacle. If the bills remain in the original state, carrying forward the message as to what Tobago wants, then I am almost certain that the outcome would have been different.
Thank you so much. I'll move on to another question.
Let me just say, it's an important question.
30 seconds.
Right. Both sides have done it wrong. The Tobago Self-Assembly and the central government has done it wrong. There's only one way to determine what Tobago wants, and that is through public consultation and through a referendum. It's only through a referendum every Tobagonian gets a chance to vote. You can't go into a room full of PNM people and then say, well, this is what Tobago wants, or full of the blue people and they say this is what Tobago wants. It has to be an open conversation, perhaps on a football field, large enough, where all persons can come.
Thank you so much. We'll have to move on from this question.
A lot of Tobagonians, the term autonomy goes over their heads. So I think the first thing is we need to educate our people on what autonomy means and what it would mean for us as Tobagonians. Before we can begin pushing it down our throats, at least let us make sure that we understand what we are signing up for and that we do not inadvertently lose our rights.
Thank you so much, Mr. Caruth. We'll have to move on from this question because we have so many other questions that were sent in, and we really want to have, a lot of them answered as much as possible. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So Tobago gets about 4% of the national budget, but has limited say in how to spend it. Do you support giving the THA more control over its budget? What specific financial decision-making power should Tobago have? Mr. Balfour, I'll start with you.
Repeat the question, sorry.
Tobago gets about 4% of the national budget, but has limited say in how to spend it. Do you support giving the THA more control over its budget? What specific financial decision-making power, of course, should Tobago have?
I mean, well, when you look at Tobago, though we are Twin Island Republic, we are two different people, and yes, I support that we should have more because our interests are different to that of Trinidad. What financial, we need investments because we need to serve a more national purpose to Trinidad. This is why I think our output is 1.7 billion and our input is 2.6 around there. So I think having more, we can be able to determine what is necessary to ensure that we serve our national purpose to Trinidad.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, just briefly, and we'll have to take a break to just make some adjustments here. You know how it goes when we're live, you know, and we're having fun, of course. So, Mr. Thomas, share with us quickly.
I think that we should not lose sight of the fact that the 4.03% that we received from the national budget was based on the dispute resolution agreement or document, policy document, right? And it was based on the population size of Tobago then. Now that you have a greater percentage in your population, you have population growth. I am wondering why this it was pinned on to something, why the allocation did not increase with the increase of the population in Tobago. And I think that should be critically viewed, and it's a case where we have been robbed, and if it was pinned on to a policy that was decided upon and it became law, then the paradigm should also shift as the population grows.
Thank you so much for sharing. All right, so we'll be back conversations with the candidates for Tobago East. We're taking a quick break, and when we come back, more questions, more conversation. Thank you.
And appliances for your home at affordable prices? It's time to visit JG's Furniture and Appliances Limited at their showroom at Smithfield number 2 in Scarborough. There's more room to shop, more furniture and appliances, more brands to choose from, all at the same affordable price. Get everything you need to furnish your home, like stoves, fridges, washing machines, couches, dining sets. They even have swing chairs, school desks, chase lounges, board sets, garden benches, day beds, and coffee tables. JG's is perfect for gift ideas for new and established homeowners. A wide variety of furniture and appliances. After 35 years, JG's is still Tobago's top choice for furniture and appliances. Visit their showrooms either at Orange Hill Road or Smithfield number 2. JG's, make your dream home come true. Need
Welcome back. Conversations with the candidates for Tobago East. So we just took a short break, and we are on the topic of the Tobago Autonomy, of course. For those of you looking at us on YouTube, on Facebook, share the live, of course. Tobago CivilNET, Tobago Channel 5, share the live. Let the conversation be heard. Of course, you can save it to look at it later. We're going to continue with this conversation. Ms. Webster-Roy, you wanted to share?
I'd never answered before.
You answer the first question like that?
We have a moderator.
Right. So thank you so much, guys. Let's keep it nice now, you know?
Well, we don't want it to be a conversation. It must be a talk. And I feel there's been a conversation taking place. It's some kind of conning.
So,
listen.
The thing is that we have a couple questions that we want to move on to, but I know you all want to share so much. But go ahead and share.
No, just listen to what Mr. Thomas said. I just want to remind the Tobago public that at present, the TH has full control of its budgetary allocation.
Yeah.
So they can move money around as they see fit to allocate resources where they see the need. Unlike a ministry in Trinidad where you have to make sure you go and you ask the permission to fire, transfer, whatever, the THA could move money around divisions, could allocate more money towards this development program, towards the social services. So we have that ability now. Yes.
Yeah, but I specifically spoke to the Dispute Resolution Commission, right? And I'm saying that when the population was 4.3 of the national population of Trinidad and Tobago, that is what the allocation was, and that is all we receive. And today, when we have a bigger population, we have not seen the movement, right, to allow Tobago to receive based on population size.
I want to just say quickly that
Mr. Balfour had his hands up.
Mr. Thomas,
Mr. Duke, Mr. Balfour had his hands up before, so I just allow him to 30 seconds and then you can go ahead. Is that okay? Thank you so much.
Yeah, don't the honorable member mention that we have access to money that we can move around. The reality is we can't move money we don't have, right? And apart from what Mr. Thomas is saying regarding the population, it also depends on the geographical space. You know, statistics shows that apart from the 4.3 or 4.5, Tobago should be getting at least 32% of the development budget. So, yeah, that's my contribution.
Thank you so much, Mr. Balfour. Mr. Duke, 30 seconds.
Well, again, I'm saying my brother Thomas got his maths wrong. If we are going on population size, it may be that Tobago might get less. True. All right?
That's right.
And so I'm saying he has to understand the context in which he speaks. All right? Because Trinidad population has grown. Tobago population has been stable. And so if he has to go by that, we will get less.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we will just do 2 more questions and we'll move on from this Tobago autonomy. So this question says, are you satisfied with the relationship and collaboration between state agencies such as WASA, TNTEC, TSTT, and the Tobago House of Assembly? And if not, what would you propose to ensure positive collaboration between these entities and the Tobago House of Assembly?
Let me just rush to answer that one and say there can be no positive collaboration between the entities that are national and the entities that are local. The entities that are national are geared towards keeping Tobago as a ward. So without you getting a license from Trinidad, you can't drive. Unless you have an ID card from Trinidad, you are not identified as a person. So everything, unless Trinidad recognize our land, you have no land. We have to come to a point where we recognize Tobago's right to self-determine, which means Tobagonians must decide among themselves what do they want. We are not bound to stay with Trinidad. Tobagonians can decide legitimately, based on the United Nations Charter, whether they want to be independent from Trinidad, whether we want to have a relationship which is autonomous, or whether we want to have an association. That's our right. We cannot have a good relationship with Trinidad at no time. No time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duke.
Let me interject there. I disagree with what Mr. Duke says. We are Twin Island Republic, and we should be able to work hand in hand.
Exactly.
Any way I take it, if you want to talk about self-determination,
That's never worked.
any way I take it, if you want to talk about self-determination or autonomy, we still have to learn to stand on our 2 legs first.
Exactly.
And to ensure that we need collaborations with Trinidad. So we don't want to damp that bridge. You know, we want to collaborate with Trinidad government to ensure that Tobagonians get its fair share. That's all. That we can fulfill a national purpose.
Exactly, and I endorse that.
Thank you
We
so
need to
much.
ask Ayanna, what has collaboration done for Tobago?
Thank you
Nothing.
so much.
The last 10 years, we got
Collaboration
nothing.
has done a lot for Tobago.
Ms.
We have got
Webster-Roy,
nothing
would you
over the
like to
last 10
share
years.
in an answer?
If I could go specifically,
Please, thank you.
if I could go specifically to an area that I had control over gender and child affairs nationally, when we recognized that we weren't getting the level of support services for Tobagonians who were victims of gender-based violence, we partnered with the Tobago House of Assembly to help to strengthen services for Tobagonians. It's about establishing meaningful collaborative relationships, putting aside egos, putting aside differences, and focusing on the people you were elected to serve.
Your collaboration
Thank
brought
you so
nothing
much.
to Tobago.
Thank you so much, Ms.
Nothing.
Webster-Roy. Mr. Thomas had his hand up.
I am hearing the collaboration story. And I think the number one thing that impacts this country is national security. And could you say that there's collaboration? I mean, every entity of the national security that operates in the Tobago space has deteriorated more than 50%. Right? Yeah, it's a fact. The last major fire we had in Scarborough, it took a response from Roxburgh Fire Station, and that tells a story. I could tell you that story, and nobody could dispute it. Roxburgh Fire Station, who responded. So where is the collaboration? And that is the number one issue in nationally, and there is no collaboration.
Thank you so much, Mr.
And Ayanna
Thomas.
cannot prove where that collaboration
Mr.
benefited
Duke?
Tobagonians. It does not.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Caruth, share yours. 30 seconds, right? And we'll do one more question and take a break.
But to answer your question directly, we are not entirely satisfied with the collaboration that has been happening thus far. And just for a simple example, WASA and the Division of Works. I'm talking to the Begonians here. We are not seeing that collaboration. We're seeing WASA doing their duty, but then we're seeing the roads remaining unfixed or not fixed for a long period of time. Yes. A lot of our roads are being destroyed by WASA's effort to fix our pipes. So there needs to be, simply put, there needs to be more collaboration between these entities so that we can benefit entirely, because we don't want to be fixing a car every Monday morning.
There needs to be separation of powers. That's what it is. Trinidad one way, Tobago the next.
Thank you so much. Thank
You are
you
the
so
only
much. We have
person
to.
preaching independence.
Well, we are preaching the PNM philosophy.
There are many ways we could.
So this is also a very big example of our leaders, right?
Right.
Remember, we're representing here. So we
Yes.
have to take a break. Thank you so much. We have to come off of this question and we have to take a break. Is that okay? Yes. Thank you so
Yes,
much. We
Tobago.
will be back. Conversations with the candidates from the East.
Furniture and appliances for your home at affordable prices? It's time to visit JG's Furniture and Appliances Limited at their showroom at Smithfield number 2 in Scarborough. There's more room to shop, more furniture and appliances, more brands to choose from, all at the same affordable price. Get everything you need to furnish your home, like stoves, fridges, washing machines, couches, dining sets. They even have swing chairs, school desks, chase lounges, sports sets, garden benches, day beds, and coffee tables. JG's is perfect for gift ideas for new and established homeowners. A wide variety of furniture and appliances. After 35 years, JG's is still Tobago's top choice for furniture and appliances. Visit their showrooms either at Orange Hill Road or Smithfield number 2. JG's, make your dream home come true. Need furniture and...
Welcome back. Conversations with candidates from the East. Guys, how are you feeling?
I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, enjoying
Pretty
it?
good.
Mr. Duke, how are you in the corner there? Have some water. All right, so we are going to go on to Tobago representation in Parliament. Guys, we are close to wrapping up, so it's really tight. So we're going to have one more question across the board, and then we will have to close. So thanks so much for being here to share this opportunity to talk to Tobagonians, all right? So constituency candidates are chiefly running to represent and advocate for Tobagonians in the Parliament. Those that are members of the Parliament with the Parliamentary, majority also gets portfolios like minister, right? This is an added benefit, but the core election is for a representative to take the views of the people to the Parliament and vote for the laws and policies of the Parliament as they are all voting, right? Tobago just has 2 out of 41 parliamentary seats. Given this numerical disadvantage, what unique skill or approach would you bring to make Tobago's voice heard effectively as a member of Parliament?
Well, first of all, I would want to be on the winning team, because if you're a part of the majority, then you're part of the executive. And apart from that, if you're part of the majority, you get to set the legislative agenda. So Team PNM, winning team. But it is important that when you go to the House of Representatives that you learn to network, you learn to negotiate, that you learn to build relationships. So that if it is that you end up having to sit on a backbench, an opposition backbench somewhere, you'll have the opportunity to catch not only the eye of the speaker, but the eye of whoever is the leader of your position to get the opportunity to speak. But I'm fortunate that I will be on the majority side.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Well, I am in some trouble here to understand the utterances, because we have not seen a manifestation of the positioning. And I am saying that once you need quality representation, you need to see where the TPP sits. And not only that, we have set the roadmap, because with little or nothing, we have impacted the Tobago environment.
How do you do that?
Well, those who have eyes to see would see. But we will continue, and going to Parliament is the one way the Tobagonian would understand the difference in what they had or what they got in the past as to what they will get in the future going forward. And I'm saying that it's just a matter of time for that environment to be created, and the Tobagonian would be in the best position to judge for themselves.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Balfour.
All right, so I believe that to really get true representation, we need to reform the government structure. Also, we need an elected Senate rather than a hand-picked Senate, so to ensure a more equitable voice for Tobagonians in this space. We have the cabinet, which runs the Parliament, and even though you're on the winning team, sometimes what has happened is that you have to toe the line because the boss say, we can't, yellow window, I know we agenda, we're not going there. And you will just be forced to stay silent. So we need to reform this governmental structure and ensure that we have an elected, empowered Senate, that all voices could be heard, at least 80% of the voices.
Thank you so much, Mr. Balfour. I'm rushing this because I'm trying to fit in the next question. Mr. Duke, I'll come to you. I'm coming to you now, like right now. You want Mr. Caruth to speak before? No, I'm asking you to answer the question at this time, and I'll let Mr. Caruth end. Is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I would say that more importantly is that our representatives need to have a presence. They need to be respected as solid thinkers, and as people representing Tobago's real interests and having the people of Tobago behind them. When I step into that parliament on the 29th of October, it will be a different day. It will be strictly Tobago, 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 and Tobago must win. As I said before, if there are 39 votes voting in favor of a bill, and 2 of us in Tobago represents the people of Tobago do not agree, that is a Trinidad bill. It is Trinidad and Tobago, both of us ought to be equal and be treated with that respect. They cannot say what we should do in Tobago as we cannot say what they should do in Trinidad.
Thank you so much. Mr. Caruth, quickly, because I'm trying to just fit in this question because this question is very important, you know.
I mean, when we're talking representation, we must remember who has put us there. And we have a duty to the people who have elected us, the 23,645 voters in Tobago East. We must represent them in Parliament. So when we get to Parliament, we must make sure that we are representing the opinions and the policies that would reflect greatly on Tobago as a whole. And sometimes being on the winning team could mean Tobago on the losing end. So let's make sure that we are remembering who we represent first and foremost.
Thank you so much. So we are going to wrap up this conversation, guys. But I want you to tell me in answering this question as well, but also convincing us Tobagonians, or should I use the word convincing? But you know what I mean, right? Okay. Thank you very much. So party politics often prevents cooperation. Describe one specific way you would work with members of parliament and assemblymen from other parties to advance Tobago's interests, even when parties disagree on other issues. And that would be the end of the conversation as we close off. So, Mr. Caruth, you start and we go down the road. 30 seconds each person. Please respect this. Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, we represent the people. So beyond the party politics and whatever, we must remember that we represent the people first and foremost. So party politics must take a backseat. And to be honest, I think we are stepping away from this cultish, party-controlled government. And we are heading into a more people-centered and controlled government. So I will negotiate with whoever once the agenda is for the benefit of the people of Tobago and by extension, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much.
Once I take my oath of office, I no longer see colors of jerseys. I see people who elected me to serve. Mr. Duke will laugh, but I'm sure you remember that during the time of COVID, even during the time when we were given the Christmas food cards to distribute, even though you were then area rep and IMP, I made sure I reached out to your office that you will be able to serve your electoral district as well. And I've done that consistently.
I can't remember that.
You wouldn't admit it, but I've done it consistently.
Thank you so much, Ms. Webster-Roy. Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, I am saying that everything about Tobago is about the people. And I want to remind all my colleagues that politics is about people, not about individual, not about party, not anything else. And if you lose sight of the fact that politics is about people, your career will be short-lived.
Thank you so much.
All right, so I don't know when the word politics come out, because when we vote for representation. So it's important that we follow the needs of the persons, pay attention to the needs of person. It is integral that we have amicable, and cordial conversations. Respect is the #1 factor in having amicable grounds within Trinidad and Tobago. There's no need for hostility, because we still have to live with each other. A lot of our family live in Trinidad, and likewise a lot of Trinidad Trinidadians live in Tobago. So we have to learn to collaborate. Collaboration is very important, and we can't see color, we can't see race when we collaborate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Balfour. Mr. Duke, 30 seconds.
Yeah, a whole minute. 30 seconds for me. That's unfair. Let me say this, I live it. So I could speak to Dr. Rowley with the same level of enthusiasm I will speak to the opposition leader, Kamala Bissassa. The same I will speak to the betrayer Fali with the same excitement, same humility, etc. You know, I treat people the same way. I walk into the airport function and shake everybody's hand, including the betrayer Fali. I'll hold his hand and shake his hand with a smile. So for me, it's the life I live. I meet with my enemies every day and I say, how are you going? It's important to live it rather than talk it, as some of my colleagues. They talk it, but they don't live it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duke. And of course, thank you to all the candidates. Of course, we're so thankful that you're able to come here and share with us. All right. We definitely have to wrap things up at this point. All right. So, of course, thank you again. This has shown us that we can have a conversation because we can work together. So it's very important. It is our hope that this becomes the norm in Trinidad and Tobago. We would also like to thank the viewing audience, and we hope that they're better able to make an informed decision come April 28th. We would like to thank the following organizations making tonight possible. Of course, Tobago Channel 5 for assisting us with the production and the broadcasting of this event. JG's Furniture and Appliances for providing us with this beautiful furniture. Bishop's High School for providing us with a wonderful location to have this discussion this evening. CHC Sounds, Wildflower Content Studios, Isolate Music Group, and Keys Studio, as well as Body Fuel and Mystique Rose. Thank you so much. The next event in this conversation series will happen next week, Wednesday, right here on Tobago Channel 5 from 6 p.m., however. All right, and of course, this event is brought to you courtesy the Tobago CivilNET. For those of you who do not know about the Tobago CivilNET, it's a non-partisan, non-profit organization registered in Tobago that is dedicated to promoting a thriving Tobago built on the cornerstones of individual liberty, strong communities, engaged people, and accountable government. This body includes volunteers from across the society, including Tobago expats from around the world. Tobago CivilNET extends an invitation to all persons and organizations interested in lending their voices to these discussions. Please follow them on Facebook, Tobago CivilNET. And of course, guys, I want to wish you a fantastic night. I am Latoya Johnson Chapman, representing you, Tobago, tonight. I hope I did a great job for you. I know there are so many more questions that you would have liked to have answered, but this is how it is tonight. Join us next week, 6 p.m. All right? All the best to you. Have a good night.